What is going on, everyone? Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Also, sorry if my voice sounds terrible. I actually completely lost my voice this weekend, so I'm just happy to have it back at all. But yeah, guys, I want to see if I want to kind of gauge everyone's interest on, the viability of doing a lunch hour like this, and maybe doing it a few times a week, or daily or once a week. I'm not sure, but I'm playing around with it a bit. I do think we're gonna switch up. Oh, why I'm rambling? If you guys want to post any questions or whatever, we'll get to it. I have a few that I can post prior to going live, and it was some from last week's. I think it was last week's live chat, and some stuff from a forum. People entered in some questions a while back, but yeah, so we have some solid stuff to start on. But anything you guys want to chat with as far as agency growth, SEO specific questions or strategies, sales, closing, whatever you guys have in mind, I'm happy to help. Let's have some laughs, have some fun. But anyway, I think we're going to switch the format out of Facebook Live. We're probably going to schedule like YouTube events. I just, for Facebook wanting to keep traffic on their platform, they do a really substandard job of making it easy for content creators to get their content out there and amplified, aside from just using a page and running traffic to it. And it's difficult also to schedule like a live chat without using the actual Facebook API. And I'd like to schedule so people can actually know it's happening, and not just see it pop up. And I tried the event feature. The events are terrible on Facebook. They once you reach a certain size group, they don't allow you to like auto invite like the 500 people. You're only allowed to invite, I guess, like 500 people to an event, unless there's some type of workaround I don't know about. But you're only allowed to invite 500 people. And so in a smaller group, we tested it in my digital traffickers group, and that worked fine. It auto-invited everyone in the group. It was like 400 and some members at the time. And when I did it in LCT, there you had to go in and like invite from a list, and it was just a mess. So yeah, we're probably going to switch to a YouTube format. So there's that. Thanks a lot, Michael. Yeah, I think yeah, thanks for the support, by the way. But I think a lot of people would tune in. It's cool just to, be able to chat about your business and get some feedback and whatnot. And, it's a good community building tool. I think it's just, Facebook is just not great with what they're doing right now. And they're throttling traffic. You guys know they throttled traffic, or I'm sorry, they throttled Facebook pages a while back. Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining. Hey, good question, Dwayne. I'll touch on that. Thanks for joining, guys. But yeah, it's like it seems like all they do is throttle traffic to try to promote ads, and there's a lot of ways they could do micro monetization, and I'd pay for it. I love to amplify our content, and when we do blog posts, case studies, even something like this, I really like. Anyone that's been in the group a long time knows I really like interacting with the group, and there'd be a lot of opportunities for Facebook to do some micro monetization with different stuff, but instead they just throttle impressions and traffic. And hey, what's going on, buddy? Yes, Facebook looks after Facebook. It's very true. But the thing is, I'm okay with paying. Like I wouldn't be upset with paying. But it's like, just give me the option. So we're testing right now on linking the Facebook page from the group. A gentleman came in the group yesterday and said that they run a small like group building group, and they have some data that shows that helps. Not having the Facebook page linked helps. So we're testing that, but it is what it is. But we're probably going to move to a YouTube format just because I can schedule it in advance. I can drop it here for you guys. There's a lot more flexibility, and I'm admittedly a little more comfortable with that platform. I use Hangouts and stuff. So yeah. Okay, questions rolling in. What's up, Brian? Thank you. We'll get to that. We good. Okay, cool. We have some questions rolling in. So I'm going to actually touch on these first, and I'll do the ones I had prior second. That way you guys aren't just sitting around. So cool question from Dwayne. He's, well, not really, kind of a question / statement. I noticed you stopped offering IFTTT networks on Web 20. Do branded IFTTT networks not work anymore? So here's the thing. Forever I told you guys if we're going to sell something, it's something that we use. So you'll also notice over the next few weeks, hey, what's going on, Sage? Welcome, buddy. Over the next few weeks, you're going to notice some of our packages just change. So when you get when you buy like a pillow link package, for instance, and you get your link report, you're going to notice that we modified how we're building some of the links. And you're going to notice that on the local packages that we're building, we're doing more to quote unquote like geofy or make the links more, geographically relevant for local clients. And it's because as we test and find out what's working in our agencies and for our lead gen sites and whatnot, we're also looking at the data from all your guys' customer orders. So that's something that, we have, it's definitely advantageous, and it gives us a leg up because Web 20 grew to a really successful level. So we have a lot of data from what you guys are doing in your campaigns and what's working. So when we see something that needs modified, or we modify something and we get positive results, we're going to, that's going to translate into us changing our services on Web 20. So we've noticed we have a post I did in excuse me, I did with Chaz on the LCT blog, localclienttakeover.com/blog. Hey, what's going on, Ray? What's up, Nathan? I'll get to you guys. I'm working down the list. Sorry about that. I get it's like squirrel. I see things pop up and I have to address it right away. But we did the case study there, and we were seeing really impressive. Again, we weren't necessarily syndicating a link out through a network, and just it wasn't the golden goose, but it really supplemented an SEO campaign well. And then we have when Matt, this was before Matt was a part of Web 20, he posted in the group, and I know the lead gen site he used it with, and that it popped him onto the front page using it. And we used to get results like that a lot. And I know a lot of you guys probably did too. And again, it wasn't a one and done magical wand solution, right? Where it's like, oh, I just need to do this and it's autopilot for the rest of the campaign. But you used to see some incredible results from it, and we stopped seeing those. They started to become more and more anomalous until the point where for the work it takes to do it, it just doesn't make sense. And if something takes a certain amount of work to do, that also translates into a higher cost for us, for you. So we eliminated it, and it was a pretty easy decision to make, because what, no magic, I'm out. Yeah, sorry, no magic today. Maybe at the next one we'll try some hocus pocus, but today I have nothing for you that's too magical. But yeah, and that's just something that's really important to me, that we have a certain level of integrity with our products. I know that's important to Chaz, and we said, hey, it's gonna cut a bunch of revenue off, but if it's not working well for us and we're seeing diminishing results across the board as we use it and you guys use it, I'm not going to sell it. So that we removed the product. And yeah, Alex, thanks for joining us, man. We were just talking about IFTTT, and here's the thing. I think there's some guys still using it and having some success with it. For me, I just think there's better ways. So, we cut the product and we're doing just a basic social account. Kind of like the social essentials where you have your accounts. My goodness, your top social accounts, and you can stack those. You can definitely push some juice to those. We just saw diminishing results doing the syndication. So, and Marcus, hey, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining. Good to see you, man. I just, like I said, I saw diminishing results with the IFTTT, so we bounced on it. I don't, you used to see it a lot. Like if I showed like a Gantt chart for my agency's SOP, it was part of every build, and now it's not. So we pulled it. We're not going to sell something we don't use. Excuse me. Hey, what's going on, James? Yeah, so I basically what we were trying to do, and a lot of times, I personally was using it more on lead gen sites, just because for my clients, I don't like getting into formulating, managing, maintaining, or consulting on a content strategy. So for me, it was mainly lead gen sites, and we were actually automating the adding of the content, and then it would, trigger the IFTTT to syndicate through all the social accounts. So no, I mean, the social accounts are still used as the initial link building strategy. We just, I don't, for the work involved to automate everything, and then you have the maintenance of it. Recipes break, sites change, how they can essentially get content syndicated to them, and then that requires a level of maintenance and fixing things, and they break. And it doesn't matter where you buy them, they break. Ours broke on occasion. Before we ever even offered them, I bought them other places. They broke on occasion. It's just for the level of maintenance required, and the initial work is just not something we mess with anymore, so we stopped selling it. That's basically it. You are magical alone, Mark. Thank you, Neil. Lots of people making fun of my my squirrel problem. That's fine. All right, back up to the top. All right. Well, one thing I wanted to discuss maybe one day is the idea of working with other SEOs to give them links from my client sites to theirs that are relevant, maybe get some back. It would make the process of getting links easier if the SEOs just made it so. Yeah, so that's a viable enough strategy if you're comfortable sharing, potentially exposing clients to other SEOs. But the concept on paper works fine. We did something interesting when we were selling guest posts where we would give a big discount if we could get a guest post from the site we just wrote a guest post about, or if we could get a link, I guess is the best way of putting it, from the site we wrote a guest post for, right? And it was a really cool deal. And there's some other stuff we want to play with at scale because we have a big client list, and it's not my biggest concern is always exposing clients to other SEOs. And I mean, me personally, I have a certain level of paranoia about that, just because, if you look at some of our sites, I mean, if one person gets upset about anything, they just negative SEO our sites. So I try to. I'm not sure I'd want to sacrifice my my clients' anonymity for some links, but I mean, conceptually, it's a great idea, and it'd be a fine way to get some really cheap, relevant backlinks. So, yeah, good luck with that. Next question. I want to get one SEO client in the next 2 weeks. What's the best, most effective way to get a new SEO client? Great question. So if you want someone really fast, you're gonna have to essentially resort to a really fast, I guess, sales path, if you will, or path to sale. The thing is, everyone wants like a a golden nugget acquisition tactic. And I've been trying to deliver that with preaching my omni-channel marketing approach for months. But that does take some time. It takes some strategic planning, which, in 2 weeks, you can do some cool stuff. You can definitely get a lot of touch points in 2 weeks. If you just wanted like a one tactic, like, hey, I just want to grab a client fast for whatever reason, cold calling still works. As much as people don't like to cold call and don't want to cold call, it works. And it becomes a numbers game where if you, really dedicate a big chunk of your day, 4 to 8 hours a day, picking up and dialing, and you make 100 and 200 and 300 calls, like, the law of averages is going to be in your favor. You're going to land a client out of that. So I think one of the most important, hold on, Bill, I personally find picking up the phone and talking to an owner the fastest way to grab a client. I grab a new client almost on a daily basis. Yeah, thanks a lot for Bill. Thanks a lot for sharing that, Bill. I completely agree, man. Cold calling isn't something I'd like to be a big part of my business. Not me doing it anyway, but it most certainly works. And, anyone that says, hey, we need a client now, you have a cold email and a cold call. And, you can even, I think the most important thing to consider before you pick up a phone or send an email or anything is the fact that, you need to make sure what you're selling them is going to be attractive enough to close them on the phone. I don't know what Bill's selling. Maybe Bill's just a ridiculous salesperson that's killing it. Maybe he's like a Grant Cardone. I don't think I use the correct sales process to close someone off of one phone call. Especially not anymore. Not without some type of rapport built. So I'd make sure the offer, before you do anything, I'd make sure your offer was really solid. I'd make sure your risk reversal was really, really solid. There's a lot of really interesting offers and risk reversals you can put in place to incentivize someone to take action with you, on that first call. So, there's also a lot of groups that'll call for you. There's appointment setters. There's just companies dedicated to it. So, I definitely consider that. If you don't want to spend the time making the calls, or for some reason you're not comfortable on the phone, which a lot of people aren't, and that's okay. I think it's pretty normal to be nervous about just cold calling people or a business. So that's something to consider, man. But if you want something quick, pick up the phone or pay someone to do that for you. And same thing goes for cold email. Bombard a list of people with some emails, follow up on the phone, and get that closed. There's a lot of ways to complicate acquisition, but at the end of the day, if you need a client fast, you can do it. Brian said, your most preferred method of client acquisition with SEO. Okay, so I guess this is a little redundant, but I like to actually plan out a kind of like a sales path. And I do an omni-channel approach, and that's basically where I don't want to just call them and expect to close. I don't want to just send them some cold emails and expect to close. So basically, I'll mind map out a multi-step customer path, and that might include people love being showed stuff, and if you deal with big cold calling companies, big lead gen appointment setters, guys that have been in the business for 20, 30 years just on the phones, every time they're going to say, what can we give them? What can we give them to incentivize the appointment? What can we give them to blow their mind to make sure they show up to the appointment, right? They're gonna have a checklist of things they want from you. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't have anything, just try to get the appointment. And they can, and a lot of times if you hire the right company, there's no doubt. But case studies, people love case studies. People love customer testimonials and reviews. So if I want to integrate that into my outreach, and I want to make sure that the pages that those case studies and reviews and everything else, the testimonials, I want to make sure they're pixeled. That way, when I cold email blast, a bunch of people, or I'm calling people and I'm saying, hey, I want to get you, I'd like to talk to you more about these issues that we found in your marketing strategy. In the meantime, check out this case study where we helped a business just like yours grow 600% in 2.5 years, whatever. And it gives them something to look at. It gives them some reassurance, right? Plus, then they might go to a certain page to get that info. They might whatever that they get pixeled. You follow them around with a little thing. Hey, hope you enjoyed the case study. Check out what some of your peers said about our service, whatever. And basically, I want to cold email them. I want to have a company follow up with them. I want to have some lump emails sent to them. I want to reach out to them on LinkedIn. So my most preferred method of acquisition at this point in my life is to definitely mind map out a bunch of different steps. And it's just, it makes you seem well, it just allows you to be more ubiquitous, which is really important to close the sale. Nathan, what's up, man? How important would you say is map embed for getting into the 3-pack? Also, which would you embed, My Maps or Business Map, for best results? So, admittedly, like, Chaz is going to be your go-to maps guy, but I'll give a caveat right off the bat, is like, you can find use cases where people order the map embeds and it pops them into the 3-pack, but it's kind of like, it's the same thing I've been preaching since I opened LCT like 3 years ago, and it's just more of a holistic view on your strategy, and it applies to anything, to be honest, but especially organic SEO or maps SEO, where I think it's an important piece of the puzzle, and I know Chaz does some really cool stuff with the actual GMB URL, and we map embed everything, and we use My Maps a lot, and that's typically our go-to, because we boost the My Map, with tiered linking. We embed it in just about any 2.0 we can. So I think it's an important part of the strategy. As far as like having a chart and weighing the actual importance as opposed to the bunch of other things that we recommend doing to get into the 3-pack, I can't say, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it would be responsible for anyone to really weigh in on that. That's something. It brings me back. That reminds me of like the citation question, where a lot of people say, "Hey, citations are completely dead, and they're not important for the maps rankings." And granted, there was a time to rank maps when all you did was just build a lot of citations, and you looked at how many citations your competitors had, and you basically built those, and then you built more, and you would outrank them in the maps, and that was the gist of the maps ranking strategy. Now we're at a point where a lot of people say, hey, we don't see any effect, and I agree, they definitely don't move the maps. I don't even want to say like they used to. I mean, it's severely diminished, but if you look at it's just kind of like an essential thing to have. If you look at most top ranking local sites, they have their essential citations. They have a decent amount of their citations. Sorry, I just kind of blanked out. But and then there's different ways to build the citations to kind of increase the rate at which they index, how they stay indexed, and just increase their worth in Google's eyes, if you will. So it's tough. I mean, you can say, hey, this works really well, or this doesn't work well. I just like to keep it as part of the strategy. We've seen use cases where it pops them right into the 3-pack. But, at the end of the day, I wouldn't necessarily say it's something that could be a standalone, even scaled or, used in a spammy fashion. I don't think it's something to be comfortable having as like a standalone strategy. So hopefully that helped. All right, what is next? Hey, what's going on, Ray? Nice to see you, man. Hope all's well. When closing clients, what is the most effective way? Schedule a call with screen share. Okay, so I think that's a solid way. I saw a thread on this. I was going to comment on an LCT, but I got busy, and now you actually just reminded me. I want to find that and comment on it. There's nothing wrong with walking someone through a presentation on the phone. I think it's, you know, there's a reason a lot of big companies do it. The main thing I would suggest is whatever you decide to do, like, make sure you're on the phone with them to go over the proposal. Because I've done the screen share option very little, and when I've participated in that, it was because my one sales guy used that strategy religiously. So when I was on, like, if he said, hey, you know, we have like a really big account, I could use a little bit of help, you know, like a really big potential account, I should say. You know, I'd jump on there with him and I'd familiarize myself with the slides, and we'd go on and he'd present and whatnot. And that was cool. We've had decent success with it. I've never used it and I've had decent success closing. I think the key is I never want to send a client a proposal and just have them read it and then kind of guess. I like to actually get on, like, schedule a meeting to go over the proposal, and that's where I can screen share to go through the proposal. That way they don't just, you know, super scroll to the price. So I think that's really effective. As far as structured presentations, I don't like them. Anyone that came and anyone that was at the live LCT event could probably tell you. I don't use structured presentations in many parts of my life. I think they're really boring. Running through a proposal is a little different because you already had that call beforehand, that interaction beforehand, that laid out the strategy and the game plan and set expectations on different price points and, you know, different levels of success other people, your other clients have had. So yeah, that's something to consider there. I definitely don't like taking the, I don't like going the route of a structured presentation. I don't like just giving them a proposal and, you know, looking at the analytics in the proposal software and being like, oh, they read it, they didn't call me back, and, you know, it becomes a mess. I like to set the expectation, lay out the game plan on the phone, and then I like to jump on the phone again, and that's when we'll go over the proposal together. I kind of have control of the pace through the proposal, but it's nothing like a structured presentation. So hopefully that helps. And guys, there's people that kill it with structured presentations. I'm not good at doing them. They're not fun for me, so I just don't do them. But that's not to say you shouldn't do them, right? There's people that do really well with that. What's your local relevancy checklist look like nowadays? Well, I'm not sure what you mean. Like, how do we show Google that a site's relevant to a specific niche or area? Is that what you meant by that, Sage? I'm not sure. Yeah, if you could, if you're still here, if you could just clarify what you mean, I'll circle back to that. Ray, how about contracts? Do you have clients sign up for set terms, 3, 6, 12 months? Okay, thanks, Sage. I'll circle right back around then. Thanks for clarifying, dude. That's my bad. I mean, I figured that's what it meant, but I didn't want to go on like a rant and then have it, and then you're like, dude, that's not what I meant at all. So initially, it's really easy to close not having people sign into contracts. All clients moving forward will be put into contracts, but I'm 100% focused on my my white label stuff, and then I'm for my actual, like, client facing side, I'm 100% focused on the niche agency. So it comes with a lot more than just SEO, and those people have, when I get on the phone with a prospect that came through the funnel for my niche agency, they already have the expectation that I'm not cheap, and I said that they're going to be in a contract, but we're doing a lot more than just ranking. So I don't think they get the feeling that it's like, man, there's no guarantee on the rankings. They just want to lock me in to get my money. There's a lot of other work at play, which essentially is going to evolve into software solutions and just a lot more in the near future. So that I'm a lot more comfortable doing contracts there. And my general agency, I didn't, and it highly, highly affected the value of the business. So it's a double. It's definitely something to consider, guys, that if you don't have your people sign contracts, your close rate's obviously going to be higher because they don't feel locked in. You can say, hey, it's month to month, quit anytime. I mean, that's a very, for people that are risk adverse, I mean, it's a really low barrier of entry, right? Instead of saying, man, I have to pen my John Hancock on a 12-month contract here. So your close is going to be easier, but it's going to greatly affect the lifetime value of that client in terms of if you ever want to sell the business. And, it's really funny because I made that training. If you guys didn't see that training, it's a free training. I threw it up on the YouTube channel. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel, guys. I'm probably going to be doing more stuff over there rather than on Facebook. But, it was the checklist. It actually wasn't a checklist. People were pissed at me because I did free training and it didn't get visuals or make a checklist. But it was like 12 or 13 points on what you need to have, on what ducks need to be in a row in order to sell your agency for maximum value. And I made the point that even if you don't want to sell your agency, if you handle those things, if you have those things in order, your agency is going to run like a machine. You'll be able to work less, make more money. You'll be able to scale in a way you couldn't before. Your entire life will be improved. So I suggest, and then someone else just said that it was I was at Digital Marketers. They had a small group thing. It was Roland Frazier and Perry Belcher and them. The one guy was up there. I think he was a mergers and acquisitions attorney. And he said the same thing. I just saw the video the other day. He's like, listen, even if you don't want to sell your business, build it to sell. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, I just said this. I was like, that's awesome. So it's a really, I would suggest having contracts in place. I understand when you're first getting started or you want to scale quickly. You're like, hey, man, I'm at $8,000 a month revenue, and my close rate suffered because I'm making people sign contracts. I'd love to go from 8 to 15 really, really quickly. Then you have to do what you have to do, and I've been there. I grew a large general agency doing that. So I'm definitely not going to knock it. I just want you guys to have your eyes open about the downfalls of not having someone in a contract. Brian asked a really interesting question. Do you like the Baltimore Ravens? Yeah. Dude, it looked like Flacco almost got his head taken off the other day. That was messed up. I don't like to see anyone get hit like that. I don't like the Ravens. I don't dislike the Ravens like I used to, though. Cincinnati kind of took your guys' spot on my list of teams and things I have disdain for. Cincinnati took your guys' place since Lewis left, and who else did you guys? I can't think. I'm still a little cloudy. I usually take in a bunch of caffeine via green tea early in the morning, and I didn't. Now I'm just sluggish. I'm having an afternoon sluggish thing going on, but Paul Lear says, no, Mark loves Tom Brady. Dude, Tom Brady's incredible. I don't know. I think he's getting towards the end of his career as much as you guys probably don't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear it when they said it about Ben, and now he's just, he's looking rough. I wish we had Brady, man. I wish we had Brady with our offensive weapons. It would be disgusting. I think that'd be an easy 7th ring. Wonder if Joe Anderson's still here with his with his love of Kansas City that we had to womp on the other week. He's probably still pissed about it. Alex says Google search in quotations niche plus your city end quotation, find on verified maps listings, call, coffee, profit. Absolutely, man. That's an old school tactic that people don't talk about much anymore, and that works really well. And Alex, yeah, I think you've had some incredible success, and that's a good tip. I mean, it's definitely It's definitely a good one. What I've noticed works is do a YouTube video for them on an analysis of the site. Actually, absolutely, man. We cover that in we have like a mini module in LPB called Video Audit Profits, and it basically revolves around creating like a template for a video. And whoops, sorry, give me 1 second, guys. My mouse just died. That's awesome. because the Apple setup, it's stuff, so I actually can't charge and use my mouse at the same time, but we should be good here for a little while. But yeah, it works well. You get a video thrown together. We have I used to have a ton of videos as an example, but we trained someone with like no experience, and we had them, like I wrote a script and made them SOP for like what they do for each piece of the video, and they were creating screen share videos at like mass and sending them to dentists, and it definitely works really, really well. So that's another strategy you can use for sure. Joe says, you sound sick, Mr. Luckenberger. Partying too much with Big Ben last night. I wish I would have partied with Big Ben last night. No, man, I'm not sure what happened. I woke up Friday morning. Friday morning. Oh, man, when was that? I don't remember. Friday morning, I think. My voice was like gone. I woke up like 4:30 in the morning. I was so excited because I had some I had some training to do and send over to Brian. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to get a nice jump on my day and do this training. And I had like zero voice. So that was exciting and fun. But no, I'm not sick, just sound weird, I guess. Alex says, how did you go about building a team overseas and going from various VAs to a brick and mortar office space, running into fulfillment issues when weather gets bad, people get sick, disappear, etc.? What should you be looking to spend a month in office space, equipment, etc.? Do I need to spend 3 to 6 months in the Philippines? Yes. So here's the thing. SH said the Diggity debate has taken its toll on poor Mark. Now that Diggity's not here and no one's going to be on record trashing him, I mean, tell me I didn't just roast that dude. I'm just kidding. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. But it was hilarious, man, those outtakes, Oh, man, that was funny. But, yeah, like, so there's a lot to understand. And Ken and I actually, last time Ken was at the office, we talked at length about creating content to help people kind of do what we've done. We also talked about kind of like a done for you, where we actually use our expand our infrastructure and build teams for people like in our office. And that's something I really like the idea of, just because it's cool. It's something very unique. And what we've created is, I mean, there's very few companies in our industry that have created something like we did over there, and it's cool, and it would be interesting to share that with people. But there's so many pieces to the puzzle. So the first thing you have to consider is like just the legalities, of where you want to set up an office. And for anyone thinking that this isn't achievable, I mean, that's you're 100% wrong. It does take a lot of work, but what you get out of it will change your life and business. Like, our team is incredible, and it's not a team of mindless VAs that follows instructions, and just it's not like that at all. We had our team, which I was so impressed. We had our team the other day. They didn't like. They were experimenting with different ways to create unique blurbs of content in mass, and they didn't like using a spinner. They didn't like the one machine generated tool that we have, so they took a spreadsheet. This is no shit. This was our one of our managers over there and our one editor over in Iloilo. They took a spreadsheet and they built Oh man, they like built a spinner, but it was kind of like a spinner. They built a spinner using a spreadsheet where you input different information into a field and it creates these blurbs for you. And it was like it's next level. Like there's like the you cannot tell it was made with a spinner. And it was insane. It was very, very in depth. And this is something that was created. We didn't have any hand in this. None of us. Like none of us had a hand in creating this. Not Ken, not I, not Chaz. And so once you have something created over there, you're going to be able to recruit the cream of the crop people in that area, and you're going to get thinkers, you're going to get innovators, like you're going to get people that are hungry. They like what you're doing, and they want to do bigger things with you. But I digress. You have to understand the laws of, like, for instance, in the Philippines, like we had to have a Filipino partner because we're not allowed, us personally, we're not allowed to by ourselves own property in the Philippines because we're American. Okay, so that's something to consider, and every place is going to be a little bit different. I mean, I think personally, and I don't know. I mean, if Ken were here, he could tell me if I'm right or not. But I know in a lot of areas, it's very easy to, I don't want to say bend the rules or get the rules bent, but it's very easy to go in and become an exception or just get permission to operate a business, because I mean it's crazy when you guys go out of the country. Like people are very excited to get businesses built in their area. It's I personally feel that in a lot of cases, like the United States it's almost like business owners they kind of get penalized on a lot of stuff if you look at the taxes you pay, or I don't know, I want to get into that, but it's it's the exact opposite when you leave the United States. Like they'll bend over backwards for you to bring commerce or industry or some type of office or business into their area. So, and it doesn't have to be the Philippines necessarily. I mean, we were talking with someone about doing it in Costa Rica. I mean, there's a lot of different options. So you have to look at what the general like hourly rate is. You can't look at something like Upwork or onlinejobs.ph to determine like the going rate. Those things are highly inflated, believe it or not. So I think the biggest thing is either partnering with someone that has the infrastructure already in place so you can avoid the legal mumbo jumbo and just all of the politics involved and everything that goes into actually having office space in another country while not being a citizen of that country. And then it's all about SOPs at that point and being able to translate them into easily consumable documents or checklists or spreadsheets that it'll be easy for your manager over there to train people, and that's the other important part. You need management on your end and on the office's end. You don't want to be managing because of the time zone, everything else. You want management set up to handle that stuff. So after that, it's going to be a process. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's going to be a process of getting your SOPs together, quality checking the heck out of the work they do, and giving constructive feedback. And it can take time. Like for you to have a team do what you want done for your agency, and you're not using an existing team, you'd be like starting one yourself. I mean, it'll take months of work. It's work involved, right? And that's not saying you won't produce anything until you've been doing it for months, but it's definitely a lot of work. So that's something to consider as well. And it's solid SOPs, good management. That's important. Understanding and appreciating the culture. I mean, we're dealing with a completely different culture. Understanding what just communicating with them, and everything's a little different when you step out. It's not like working with Americans, when you're not working with Americans, obviously. So appreciating their culture and understanding, where they're coming from is very important. And You know, that's why it's good to have boots on the ground over there. If you guys are considering doing something, you should, you know, you should spend some time there or have someone that will. All right. Dwayne, I can't answer. I have to click see more to read the rest of your question. My mouse is dead and currently charging. So I'll circle back around to that if I have time. If not, we'll catch it in the next one. Brian says, what do you think are some things you just can't automate or you don't feel comfortable automating with your SEO agency? Examples, on-page, off-page, client relationships, ads. Okay, so, oh man, now we get to have some fun. This is a fun question. Not that the rest weren't, guys, but this is, I can geek out a little bit because we're actually building software that's, you know, highly based on automating things that people aren't used to seeing automated. So as far as on page, for instance, let's take that example first. Automating it, I don't think we're there yet. I don't think, I think we could be there. We don't have a tool that can do it yet. As far as where technology is, we can we can do it. We can automate the on page, and that's without a doubt. On page can be automated, and basically, I'm trying to think of something that couldn't in on page. I mean, there might need a light human edit, but basically, if you programmatically scrape, like say you input a query, and you know you want to rank a site for the dentist in Baltimore, and you put in that query, and a tool programmatically pulls the top 3 results, and it can analyze the on page done for those. So that's your titles, your metas, your schema, what have you, and you could set 100 or 200 benchmarks, right? Because you'd say, hey, we want this on every site, even if the top 3 don't have it. We feel it's an important part of our on page, so we want to have it there, right? But basically, you can programmatically pull that data in from the top 3 SERPs, and then you can do like a comparable analysis where you can compare it to the sites that are ranking on page 10, right? The sites that are, you know, position 100 and 99 and 98. You can do a comparable analysis and you can kind of extract some false positives to an extent, right? So if there's a few things done on the top 3 that are also done equally as well, or maybe even better on the 100th site, I mean, it's correlation isn't always causation, but we can deduce that might not be a factor that is heavily weighed, at least in that SERP, right? And that can all be done programmatically. So from there, you know, to actually modify a title tag absolutely could be done. Would it need light human editing? Perhaps, but we're going to automate on page, and we'll probably have that done within the next year. We'll be able to programmatically build the best site as in terms of on page programmatically, and that's not far fetched. Off page, that's where you'd run into some type of trouble, especially if you wanted to do something that wasn't just completely black hat or gray hat, which a lot of people want it. Mass market want it, right? So even if you were comfortable with doing a good bit, off page gets a little funky, but at the same time, you could do the exact same thing that you did with the on page, except with off page, where you could, you know, you take the top 3 ranking sites for a specific query. You can programmatically pull data in based on the backlinks they have, and you could get really specific. I mean, you could say like how many words are on the page that this backlink's on, right? Like how many words are in the article or whatever, and you could go crazy. You could say you could pull the metrics of the sites multiple tiers deep, and you could programmatically do an incredible job assessing what's pushing the rankings from an off-page perspective. And again, you could do the comparable analysis with low-ranking sites to see. Not so much. I don't think that would work quite as well. You probably wouldn't want to do that because you could run into some really messy stuff. I'd say the off-page would be a lot harder, but I think there's a lot more ways to automate and kind of programmatically parse data to make it easier for people to build a better off-page campaign than with what the tools are doing today, dramatically, in my opinion. We plan on doing that too, by the way, but that's a little bit. I think that's going to probably be a little bit farther off. Ads, again. See, I guess the thing is with the technology out there, I think it's 100% possible. I mean, ads. You'd have to have a feed into ads. So, for instance, like SpyFu. I mean, if you API'd into SpyFu, you could. I don't even know how much data they give anymore. It's been so long since I used it. But even if you just pull top ads for, like, say you had like a criminal lawyer in wherever, insert city, and you could pull data on, like 100 other SERPs for criminal lawyers, and you could basically do kind of like a comparable thing where you pull, like, based on some benchmarks you input, you pull like the best things from each of those ads. I think you could auto generate ads really easily. As far as targeting campaigns and stuff, I think so. I don't know enough about that, about like the specific targeting and stuff, but you can automate just about anything. It's just people aren't applying. Like, there's bigger applications right now for the tech. The guys that are working with that type of tech are the guys that are building the ad platforms, right? They're the engineers at Facebook. They're the engineers at Google. So, that's why you're not seeing people go on like JVZoo and launch, artificial intelligence softwares that can like programmatically run your business for you. Client relationships is always going to be a tough one. People want a certain level of human interaction. Having said that, like, there's a lot you can do to automate those interactions, as far as like automated reports, having templated emails for reporting or follow-up. You can do a lot of stuff with customer for life programs where you're doing like SMS campaigns, just, hey, wanted to drop in and see if you read this article. Good read, take care, stuff like that. Having them in the CRM and having like automated like a birthday card sent and stuff like that. There's a lot you can do to automate client relationships, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to have someone that's pretty kick-ass at getting on the phone and making people happy. So sorry for that really long-winded response. It's just I love the conversation of automation. I love the idea of it. We're doing Jensen right now. We're doing a ton of automation. I'm really excited, and we're gonna continue to do. We're gonna continue to automate things people aren't used to having automated, and we are gonna have artificial intelligence, like real AI, built in probably the second iteration and going forward. So it's a topic I'm extremely passionate about, and I have a lot of fun talking about it. So sorry for the long-winded response, but I like that. Rush says, how much should I charge a dentist in San Antonio? Site is new, 4 months old. Should I include maps optimization as a separate service? So you can do a standalone map service. I think it's silly to do that. It used to be a lot more viable back when even when you say, like, we used to look at a SERP and say, and we as like a community, at least a sophisticated community that like followed like Brian's maps training, or he's really good, or Chaz. I mean, those guys are probably like the two guys to follow when it comes to maps. Like, I learn a lot from them. Which we used to look at how the SERPs displayed results, and we would say, hey, this is a blended algorithm, or it's a whatever, it's a disjointed algorithm. And that's kind of how we assessed what steps we could take. Like we could do things independent of the organic to move maps and vice versa. And now, no matter what that algo looks like or what that SERP results looks like, so much of your map success is contingent on stuff you do for like on site on the website and like to boost your organic SEO anyway. So that's something that that's something that they should just be packaged and sold together. And because of that, you should be charging a premium. San Antonio is a big city. That's not. I mean, I'd make sure you were charging enough. Like, don't go in and charge $1,200, $1,500. You have to figure a dentist in San Antonio, like as they grow. I'm not sure what size practice they have right now, but as they grow, they should easily be able to have a $3 to $5 million a year practice. And that might be a little optimistic at first, but I think anyone that works with dentists would agree that's a big area. I think the average revenue for a dental practice is like 750 or 1.1 or something, 1.1 mil a year, 750. If Adam were here, he'd know. He's a freaking guru with that. Guy I work with, and just incredible. But I don't know, he's not here right now. But it's something like that, and so just consider what your service is going to do for the revenue in his business. And I would I would definitely probably throw like a $3,000 to $5,000 a month price tag on that, and I'd include the maps. So that is my opinion. All right, guys, we are almost at the hour mark. I guess I can do like one more. Hey, what's going on, Martin? Good to see you, buddy. Yes, I will get on that. I'll post the other one as well. I'll do that. Neil says, can't wait to see Jensen. Dude, we've been building Jensen for almost a year. I can't wait to see Jensen. Alex said, I'll send you my Amex right now. Yeah, I mean, it's something we're considering, just doing allowing people to kind of leverage our infrastructure and kind of build a team for them over in Iloilo. So I want to do just maps, Martin. I really want it. There's too much. There's too much that relies on, like, you're gonna have to do a bunch of quote unquote like organic type work and website work. I would lump it together, but you could value maps. I mean, I remember years ago people were charging $500 or $750 a month just for maps. So, that was years ago, and maps got a lot more difficult now than ever. So I'd lump it in. I'd charge, if you were in, oh, sorry, Sage. That's a big answer anyway, man. I'll get you next time. We'll do another one this week. I'll write it down. I have a few others I missed too. We'll get put together. I do apologize about that, man. Actually, let me shoot back up there. I'll do Sage's right now. I'll get you before we sign off. But yeah, you could put a number. Oh, no problem, Rush. You could put a number on it and say, hey, listen, the maps alone's $14.99 a month. I usually charge $14.99 a month for the organic. Instead of charging you guys almost $3,000 a month, you sign up today for $24.99. You save a bunch of cash, or $19.99, whatever, or it depends on what you planned on charging the client to begin with. But you can definitely use that as part of your strategy. So, Mr. Sage, let me get back your original. Damn it. Okay. What's your local relevancy checklist look like nowadays? So I made a module in LPB about what the three factors you need to rank a local website. I'm not sure I ever made a relevancy checklist, and if so, I don't think I ever made a relevancy checklist. So I imagine you saw a relevancy checklist somewhere and you just want to hear mine. Mine goes back to the three factors to crush the SERPs, right? And that's if you're a local site. You need to show Google you're a real business. That's really important. And you need to also show them that you're not only a real business, but you actually operate in the area you're trying to rank in. And then, of course, that you're servicing a specific niche or industry or need for a consumer or someone in the search engine. And it's those three things. So if you're a plumber, you're a real plumber, you actually have a real plumbing business in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, you need to show them that you are those three things. It's like the trifecta. So I like to use I put my NAP everywhere in the backlinks and everything. I create unstructured citations. If there's one really, really easy way to show Google that you're a business in a certain area, it's citations. And that's your typical traditional citations. As much as everyone says, oh, they don't work anymore, that's nonsense. I mean, they're to me, they're still a really important part of a SEO strategy. And it's citations, and then creating, every time you build a backlink, throwing your NAP in there just to create that unstructured citation. Embedding maps on the sites, I think that's still really important. There's a lot of ways to tell the site without being spammy and being like plumber in Philadelphia, best Philadelphia plumber all over the site. That just looks spammy in 2017, in my opinion. If you want to have some fun with lead gen sites and whatnot, you want to see like, you know, what different keyword densities affect rankings, or you know, you're playing with some different stuff like that. That's cool. But you know, I think it's just as easy as having, you know, your citations on structured citations, turning your links into those, having a map embedded, and just telling them on the site that you're in the area. I don't think, like, in my opinion, if it's I don't even think you'd need all that, to be honest, for Google to understand. The Google Spider is a very sophisticated bot at this point, but that's going to be your easiest ways to go. I also have, it doesn't matter if it's a lead gen site, if it's anything, like we make up, you guys probably, if any of you took my LPB training, I create a fake address for lead gen sites. I have that on the site. I also, of course, use that for citations, NAP on my links, all that good stuff. So that's basically it, man. Anything additional is just that, it's additional. Having your social profile set up and having, you know, like a business page that, again, you have your NAP, it kind of just reinforces the fact you're a local business. You know, I think that's really important. But it's just those essentials. It's that initial foundation, and you know, you don't need a lot. Anyone that says you need all these different factors, or Google's not going to know where you're at, that's just silly. And I'm not sure anyone does say that, but I just wanted to clarify or make it clear that you really don't need much, even without the citations or any of the links. I mean, if you just have a branded site like plumberguy.com, and on the site it's like serving the Philadelphia, I mean, that's Google's going to pick up on that. But I do like to make sure I have that, you know, that foundation of stuff with my address and whatnot. So that might have been lackluster if you were expecting like a big list, but I think it's just those essentials, to be honest. All right, guys, we're in hour 3. I'm going to shut it down. I will post this replay. Really appreciate everyone that came and had asked some questions and had a chat. So we'll do this again. I think I'm going to do it on the YouTube format so we can schedule them and, you know, have a little bit. Oh my gosh, I'm getting angry faces. Oh man. Who's giving me the angry faces? If I didn't answer your question, save it for next time, all right? I'll get it. That's just a lot of angry faces. But thanks a lot, guys. Have a nice day. We'll catch you in the next one.